So, welcome to this introductory session on Gunas. Yes, so today's topic is an introduction to Guna Karma Siddhanta, which is it's a foundational concept in Ayurveda, which is covering, the concept of doshas as well as dravyas. Because in Ayurveda, we are dealing in the body with doshas and the rasa panchaka in the dravya. Both are necessary. We understand imbalance in the body based on doshas and choose the properties of the suitable plant based on rasa panchaka. Both are based on the concept of guna karma siddha. So what does gunas mean? Gunas are the properties by knowing which we can make intelligent use of the substances around us. Because guna means property and karma means action, activity, function. So the function of a substance is dependent on its qualities. So if we understand the qualities of a substance, we can predict what actions, what functions it will perform. So this is the basis of the guna karma siddhanta. In Ayurveda, gunas are understood in many categories. Major number of gunas listed in the Ayurvedic textbook is 41. So I want to highlight here some important points. Is that in modern medicine, everything is based on chemicals, molecules, their interactions, their various chemical reactions that happen in the body determine whether we are healthy or sick. So medicines are also chemicals. They work on specific molecules inside the body and bring about changes. But in Ayurveda, the focus is not on the chemicals, but on the matrix in which these chemicals are existing. In Ayurveda, we are looking at the matrix in which the molecules are embedded. So we don't directly interfere with the matrix, but we with the molecules, but we work on the matrix. When the matrix changes, the behavior of the molecules will also change. So it is like the seed and the environment or the soil. So if you consider the molecule to be the seed, the soil is the matrix. So Ayurveda is, so if you change the conditions in the soil, the seed will also change its behavior. So this is the Ayurveda. The Guna matrix means we are changing the entire environment in which these chemical changes happen. So this is the difference between the modern scientific approach and the Ayurvedic Guna-based approach. So let us have a quick look at the different classifications of the Guna, the different categories in which Gunas are classified. Ayurveda gunas are classified in the following categories: the 5 gunas of the special senses, the 20 Gurvadi gunas, and in fact the 20 Gurvadi gunas are what really makes the core of the Ayurvedic approach to understanding both physiology and pharmacology. Physiology, pathology and pharmacology. So the 5 gunas of the special senses, which are the Vishesha gunas, these are called the objects. This is the first experience that we get of the objects around us. We experience the object around us through our sense organs. So with the special senses, our first impression of any object is what we see through our eyes, hear through our ears, smell through our nose, taste through our tongue, and then feel through our touch. So this 5-dimensional view of the universe, with that we cannot do much treatments. It only helps us to identify the object, get some basic characteristics of that substance. Like for example, if we know that apple is round, it is red in color, it is tasty, that is not enough for us to use apple as a diet or treatment, but it helps us to identify apple. So the Vishesha gunas or 5 gunas of the special senses help us to describe and identify the object. Then comes the Gurvadi gunas. So the Gurvadi Gunas is what makes up the Guna matrix of substances. So if I want to use a medicine, if I want to use something as diet or as medicine, I must know the Gurvadi Gunas. So this is the pharmacological aspect. If I want to know what is the imbalance of the doshas in the body, which dhatu is affected, I have to study the Gurvadi Gunas. If I want to use a plant to treat this imbalance, I must know the Gurvadi Gunas. So actually, what we use in pharmacology, basically for understanding drug action, for diagnosing disease, are the Gurvadi Gunas. So amongst all the Gunas, Gurvadi Gunas are most important in Ayurveda. Then we have the Atma Gunas. This is reflecting how we interact at a level of our mind and consciousness on the objects that we encounter. So two people may see the same object, but their response, their experience will be different. So the 6 Atma Gunas reflect how we interact with the objects around us. Then we have the Paradi Gunas. These are Gunas which help us to, take decisions in administration of the various, substances that we are using as medicine. It helps us to fix dosage. It helps us. So it's a framework for clinical application of all the drugs that we understand. So we understand the drugs in multiple ways. So I will summarize this again. So just to summarize this whole framework again, when we see an object in the world, first we understand it in terms of the 5 gunas or the special senses. Then we go to the Samanya Gunas, which are the gunas on the basis of which we understand physiology, pathology, and pharmacology. And then the 6 Atma Gunas, based on which we decide how we are impacted. What is the impact of the objects, substances which we are encountering on our consciousness, on our mind. And then the Paradi Gunas give us the framework for deciding how to use these substances in a logical manner. 5 special senses. These represent the 5 Mahabhutas, and each of these guna is specific to each sense organ. So when I see a plant, I see the color of the leaf, I see the texture, I get to know the smell. All this gives us, so botanical identification of a plant is coming under the application of the special properties of the special senses. So the color of the leaf, the shape of the leaf, the taste and smell of the leaf, its texture, flower, trunk, roots, fruit, etc. Everything, comes under the properties of special senses. So these gunas give us the subjective experience of the world. Without these properties, we cannot experience the world. So our first experience about any object, and this creates some memories in our mind. So next time I see an apple, I remember it is an apple. I'm able to recall it's an apple because of all the properties of the special senses. I can get the smell, I can have the taste, I can see the shape, touch, everything. This is what helps us to identify an object. Then comes the 20 general gunas. These are called Gurvadi Gunas or Samanya Gunas. These are the general properties of Mahabhutas. So, which means every object in this universe presents with the spectrum of 20 gunas. They are seen in pairs or opposites. That's why they are called Dandva Gunas or opposite gunas. And a pair of gunas create a continuum. Like, for example, if we have, heat and cold. Heat and cold are not 2 separate gunas, but they make one continuum. On one side is extreme cold, on the other side is extreme heat. So all the objects will come within the spectrum. Some objects will have height, they will be very heating, some will be very cooling, some will be in between. And heat and cold will control the rate at which chemical reactions happen. So, as I was telling, heat and cold create a continuum, and when there is more heat, chemical reactivity will be more high. This is a knowledge from modern chemistry also. When the heat increases, chemical reactivity increases. When heat decreases, when cold increases, chemical reactivity decreases. So this is how the matrix is changing continuously. There are 10 continua. So there is temperature, there is viscosity, there is humidity. In that way, the internal environment has certain parameters that keep shifting between this continuum. So when the shifts happen in this continuum, the complete nature of chemical reactions, molecular interactions will change in the body. So this is what Ayurveda is doing. It is working on the matrix of the 20 gunas. Now, Tridosha imbalance is also actually a change in the configuration of this matrix. So if you look at a dravya, the properties of the drugs are also understood in terms of the matrix of 20 gunas. This is the framework for understanding the framework of Guruvadi gunas in Ayurveda. Then comes the Atma gunas. These are the gunas of the conscious self. These are the subjective gunas. There are such gunas. Because how do we perceive these gunas? With our intellect. And when we understand the objects, we have certain reactions in our mind. Certain biases are formed about that object. And we have to overcome that with the intelligence. The purpose of intelligence to overcome our attachment, aversion, liking, dislike, and then do the right kind of effort. So this is the problem. We have our intellect and then we have our biases. So intellect will help us to get the right decision about what an object is. Whereas the attachment, aversion, happiness and sorrow that we feel will cloud our intelligence and give us a wrong understanding of the object. So if we take an effort with wrong understanding, wrong results will come. If you take an effort with the right understanding based on our intellect, then we will get the positive result. So then comes the Paradi gunas. These are helping us to study relationships between substances and to develop protocols for their effective use. For example, there are 10 such gunas. Para apara. Para apara is very helpful to grade the substances in front of us. So we can say superior quality, inferior quality. Something which has a superior quality is para, and something which has a inferior quality is apara. Then we have yukti, rationale. It is like algorithm how to make use of a substance. Sankhya, counting or statistics. Samyoga, the art of combining. Vibhaga is the art of separating. Prithatva, separateness, how to distinguish different entities. Samskara is processing. Like for example, if we take a plant and grind it with the juice of another plant, its properties will change. That is called samskara. And then abhyasa, certain medicines, when you administer a medicine, with one dose the disease will not go. So we need a clear idea. Okay, 10 doses of the medicine, like antibiotics, we may need 14 doses of antibiotics 1 week. So that is abhyasa, repeatedly doing this and then measuring all these outcomes. So these are some of the concepts that are very helpful when we assess disease and then we decide treatment. So the 41 gunas categorized into 4 groups that we reviewed right now helps us to understand properties and then plan a meaningful course of action. So all these 41 gunas, if you study well, then you can learn both diagnosis and treatment of Ayurveda. Out of this, the 20 Guruvadi gunas are the most important. So the logic of these 41 gunas is the 5 gunas of the bhutas give us the primary experience of the world. Next, the Gurvadi Gunas give a deeper understanding of substances in the world, and this experience impacts our understanding and the feelings, and this creates Atma Gunas. Based on these experiences, we can take strategic action to make use of these gunas to improve our health. So, this is the framework of the 41 gunas which we will address in this course. So, gunas help predict karmas or actions. The opposite is also true. From karma, we can predict the gunas. So, dravya is the substratum of gunas and karmas. Where the dravya is the substance and it has the property and it has the action. So, dravya, guna, and karma constitute this whole framework of Ayurvedic understanding of substances. So, let us look at an example. Milk has snigdha, guru, pichila guna. It is cold in potency, sweet in taste, and post-digestive taste also. Because of these gunas, it increases kapha and medas, will pacify vata and pitta, because it has gunas which are similar to kapha and medas and opposite to vata and pitta. But you look at pepper. Pepper is another example. It has ushna, ruksha, lakhu. It is hot. It is drying. It is light. It has pungent taste and aftertaste. Because of this, it will aggravate pitta. It will pacify kapha, whereas milk increases kapha. And vata, because of its heating property, it will reduce vata a little bit. Prolonged use can aggravate pitta and vata. But some substances are very complex, so we cannot predict their actions. Like, for example, curd or yogurt is snigdha, guru, but also ushna. So it will increase, kapha and pitta. So, in order to understand the property of a dravya, it is necessary, to study in detail about guna and karma. This branch is sometimes called as dravya guna, as I said. It means the properties and actions of dravyas. So, now when we apply the concept of gunas, many new ideas have come. Dravyas are divided into samana pratyayarabdha. It's very difficult to pronounce that for people who don't know Sanskrit. Don't worry about the terminology. The concept is more important. Samana pratyayarabdha and vijitra pratyayarabdha. So when the properties are like the rasa, like if it is sweet rasa, you have snigdha, shita guna, then it is samana pratyayar. We have sweet rasa and shita and ushna, because sweet is normally shita, but in some substances with sweet taste, they will have ushna guna. Then it is difficult to predict how it will work. So such are called vichitra pratyayarabdha. So samana means similar, vichitra means dissimilar, pratyaya means cause or material, arabdha means created. So when the ingredients of a substance are complex and contradicting each other, we will get complex dravyas. If they are very simple ingredients, then we get simple dravyas. So samana pratyayarabdha and vijitra pratyayarabdha. It is enough just that you know these categories exist. So some drugs you cannot predict just by looking at their general properties. We have to observe their actions more carefully. Some drugs are easy to understand their action just by looking at their properties. So examples of complex dravyas are wheat and barley. Both are sweet and heavy, but wheat will pacify vata while barley will aggravate it. Fish and milk are both sweet and heavy, but fish is hot in potency, whereas milk is cold. The meat of lion is pungent, but not that of pig. So you can see many substances which have similar properties may have different actions. So that is the difference between a simple and complex dravya. So when we study complex dravyas, we are facing more challenges in understanding their properties and deciding how to use them, in our clinical practice. For all this, the study of gunas will be very helpful. So this is the difference, what you can see here between wheat and barley. So wheat is sweet, heavy, unctuous, specifies vata, whereas barley is sweet, heavy, but one property is different, dry, so it will increase vata. Similarly, the example that we discussed about milk and fish, you can see the difference here. Milk is sweet, heavy, cold, pacifies vata and pitta, whereas fish is sweet, heavy, and hot and can disturb these doshas. It is good for kapha. So, I don't know, maybe in those days of hunting, people used to hunt lion and pig also. So, they have made a comparison between the meat of these two. Lion's meat, today we cannot eat it. Maybe at some point of time people were eating. It is sweet, heavy, cold, but pungent. Pig is sweet, heavy, cold, but it is sweet. So same properties, but some difference. So this is with the guna. When we study the gunas, we are able to understand a framework for knowing these differences. And with the deeper understanding of the properties of substances, we are able to take the right decisions about what drug to use in what condition. When the dravyas have the gunas of the rasa, we call them as simple dravyas. When the dravyas have gunas not of rasa, then we call them as complex dravyas. So in this way, the Gurvadi Guna, there are many frameworks that are mentioned in our Shastra to understand the actions and properties of substances. Today's class was just an introduction, a peep into this concept of Guna Karma Siddhanta. Because most of the time when we study Ayurveda, we don't study the Guna Karma Siddhanta deeply. That is why we are not able to go deeper into the concept of doshas as well as the concept of Dravya Guna. So the study of Guna Karma Siddhanta is essential to deepen our knowledge of the two major Siddhantas, two major theories of Ayurveda. That is the Dosha Dhatu Mala Siddhanta and the Dravya Guna Karma Siddhanta. So with that, we come to the end of today's class. And it is also time for me to leave for another meeting. I hope to interact with all those who continue in the course. There is a schedule for interaction. I look forward to that in the future. Thank you and namaste.
Namaste, Dr. Rammanohar.